Been a day or two, huh? Well, I uh, I have 4 old journals to catch up on, so I trust that that'll happen. I've got one that goes all the way back to 10/7. I guess I've been kind of quiet for a while. Uh, but with me here too. In the past, I stuck right close by my journal. Sometimes I would journal 20 or 30 pages in a day and go through months like that, years even. And the journal was just part of my process of figuring out who I am, what do I know. And so, obviously, something has shifted there. Um, I used to, and I still do, love to go to the journal because I would find out more. And I would marvel watching it somehow come from within when my conscious mind hadn't been aware that it was there. Now, the ultimate reality is that what we have within is literally everything that is. And so there's really nothing that's not available. But I'm not in seeking mode, or if I am, not nearly so much anymore. And I'm really not looking to create anything in particular. I mean, I guess the biggest shift that I've made is to come into peace with just being. With this step in the journey, whatever it is, being whole and complete and sufficient. And finding contentment in that is just freaking awesome. The stress, it all fades and floats away, taking everything so seriously, believing this and that, when you realize and recognize that your beliefs are self-created. Now, admittedly, early on we got a lot of help coming through the school system and the whole social thing in crafting our original beliefs, but come on, we're pure, positive, powerful energy, friends. And it's I like the way Abraham analogizes it. It's like who you really are is the cork. And when it's not being held down, it's not work to come to the top. It's just what a cork does. It's not so much what a cork does, it's what a cork is. And I know for some this isn't making a lick of sense. And from them, oh well, go back to the beginning and center deep within. You're divine. And I'm not going to talk down to you. That's new. God. I do. I wake up in a new world every day, guys. And I'm loving it. I mean, why not? If you got to write your own story your own way, what story would you write? Most of us haven't even taken a pause from the rat race to look at such a thing, much less deeply contemplate it. Well, as Source, we have that kind of power. As the cork, once we figure out how to stop resisting everything, resisting what is, resisting the construction of our now, it's also funny. Once we step back, it's all so freaking funny. And the one we're laughing at is the self. Yeah, the lesser self, but it's good-natured laughter. It's loads of fun laughing this way. at how we were handling life and ourselves before. So, in a way, I'm irrepressibly happy. It floats, but here's the atmosphere in which it floats: good, better, and best. That's what it floats between. There's no more of the boo-hoo, wah-wah, victim thing that we were all trained into at one time. And so it's water off a duck's back. Now, I'm coming to you from I never did get into chat rooms and things. They always seemed to be, when I dip my toes into them, a freaky place where people really would get nasty and out of control and kind of crazy. But there's been one chat room that I like to visit, and it's amazing because they didn't get terribly out of control, but there was a bit of, snippety nastiness and emotions all over the place, and just watching myself, watching the chat. Okay, so what I'm really watching is myself, watching the chat, just lurking, and watching the thoughts and the feelings go by, and realizing that they're kind of new. I'm not used to them yet. Such as knowing that no matter how much you want to reach out and lift people up, you can't do it. That the power to do that is held within self. And people can't hear you until they're ready to hear you, so why speak? Why speak? It's interesting. Okay, I do want to at least get one of these 4 written journals into the upload. So this one is from 10/7. The Mayan day was a dog taking a leap. Oh. And the Abraham-Hicks link in it is all about being in the now here. Now realize 10/7, I don't remember yesterday, so I'm clueless when I read you these. All right. This Abraham-Hicks video clip inspired this journal. Such a perfect discussion coming purely from the now here and showing others what that's like. And most people don't actually know this. Oh, they likely have ideas around it, but that's not the same. That doesn't take the place of our own direct experience. I hope you'll center down before or as you listen to this clip. It's spoken from that place of direct experience, and it has tremendous potential to change your life, just seeing what it points to. The linear mind way is to do a this to get a that. It's spread out across time, now and into the future. Can you see that? Your this is in the now, but not purely, for it's focused on that, on the desired outcome, which is clearly a future thing. Now, to the mind, this won't make any sense. This idea that you could be so centered in now as to ditch all reference to past or future. Mind wants to put such things in context. It wants to understand things, and it feels its use of time helps it do that. Well, it does. We're all familiar with the blessing of hindsight, right? Who among us hasn't looked back to something we thought was terrible at the time only to see the blessing, the huge blessing that it brought. And while hindsight happens in your now, yet it pulls in the past, and nothing at all wrong with that. It's just that this being only in now, well, it's different. It requires a certain setting aside of the mind function in order to step up and out of linear time. So it's different and not necessarily even better. It's just two modes or two ways of being, one of which most simply have no experience. This Abraham clip invites us into that one, to directly experience the perspective from the now here, to see how that works, to what it feels like. It's an upward spiral if you can catch it. It requires setting mind aside for a bit, but that's made surprisingly simple just by centering in heart. This is heart's natural mode of being, its way of functioning, if you will. Now, that's one way to look at it, anyway. And I hope you'll feel froggy and jump, feel fishy, and just dive in. There's so much fun to be had here, much joy to be discovered in simple things that are largely ignored or not seen by most of us all the time. This is to take steps toward entering heaven on earth, my friends. This can be the wind, not just in your sails, but under your wings. You can ride the energy up into higher consciousness. And it doesn't matter if you experience but a flash of what it offers either. Like anything else, it gets better with practice. By setting your intent to have more of this experience, you will. Mostly, we just have to remember how to lighten up and not take things so darn seriously. This may also highlight certain fears buried beneath your outer persona. To let go of mind, even for just 5 minutes, is really to let go of a lot, of a whole way of being. And at first, it feels really strange. So don't mistake excitement for fear. As you stick to your true divine identity, there is absolutely no fear there. For there's nothing for source to fear. And you are that, no matter how you currently feel. Can you let it in? To experience this now is also to step out of duality. Doing a this to achieve a that is dualistic. In a way, you're using the this part and not giving it its full due. You're not really here with your this. Instead, your focus is on your overall goal. In this video clip, Abraham presents the precise antidote to transcend this type of thinking and this way of being. Now, it's not that there's anything wrong with being fully in the linear world. There's not. I share it for those whose intent and desire is toward awakening. I don't find awakening available to the linear mind. So they are simply two different modes of being, both available for our choice, which we prefer. There are no limits in source or in heart. There's no judgment there either. Now, While it may be helpful to spur you to achieving higher awareness, nonetheless, these are just words. And it takes having your own direct experience to really get it. So don't settle for just words. Go for the gusto, my friends, the direct personal experience. Nothing else has life. Words are flat and linear. They can't help but be that, needing to come out in a certain order, in nice, neat little lines in order to make sense, and that's fine. When you're a bit farther up the spiral of awakening, words just seem flat to you, almost two-dimensional, for you're in a higher dimension when you're in heart, when you're in now. But talking about it doesn't do much good. It requires the experience to transcend the linear words. You can actually soar. You can fly on wings of interior light. That's always available to you, but it takes cutting dependence on mind and weeding out old beliefs in any sort of limits at all. I don't suggest anyone set out to manipulate outer circumstances or the people around them. That's not what I'm talking about. It doesn't merge or harmonize with only self and now here in heart. We're more successful as we stick with that. The other may come later, the ability to control outer things. Or it may not. That's not even important. And once we see that, once we truly let go of trying to attain that, I find we're in much better shape. Why? We're back in now. It's funny how there's almost nothing here for you in the words. How they're only a jumping off place. Much like jumpers from great heights, soaring down, eventually opening the parachute to soften the landing and to make the trip take a long time. That's done for the joy of the moment. Just like the contrast between the climb up the mountain and the jumping off and soaring experience, there is that much contrast between these words and what's available to your experience. Yet those strongly tied to mind will generally not get past the words. Now, sure, you can get something out of them. But again, it's more like 2D flat images as compared to 3D. Only even deeper than that. The heights of consciousness are not available to the overly timid, nor to those unwilling to embrace change. To flow with the now is to remain at the core of all change, at the fulcrum of that. It's really cool, yet no one but you is in charge of your journey. No one can do it for you, nor pull you into it absent your free will choice, your willingness to take the adventure. So, it's the froggy ones to whom I dedicate my words. May they bring you both the companionship for your adventuresome spirit as well as the joy of the jumping off place, the moment of the great leap. At some point, we also discover that there is not one speck of fear when we're in heart. All those things that hold mind back are simply absent from here. In the end, it turns out to be so much easier than one had previously thought. Since thought has no way to penetrate experience, all it can do is weave webs of what things might be like. and we can use it to create. At some point, for the adventurous spirit, thought is not enough. We've all spent many lifetimes wrapped up in and on a par, on a level with the ways of thought. It's time to transcend whenever you're ready. May this Abraham clip be your jumping off point into much purer experience of your now here. Gonna have to go listen to it again myself. Namaste.